Welcome back to Nightmax TV and another detailing diary here with Maz at Garage Therapy.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having us back all the time here. I like this. The car is under a heady transformation. The back to black plastics of the car are still looking really good from the last video, so that's nice to see. Water spots is kind of where we're at today.
Yes.
Which was quite interesting. So when you washed the car last time I was here, you pointed out all these water spots that I hadn't even registered in my mind before. Now I can't unsee them, they're everywhere.
So as we're peeling back the onion, we're discovering more and more defects.
Yeah.
That is normal. So when you start decontaminating a car, you're effectively removing the contaminants that effectively hide the defects. And if you use like a quick detailer spray, that masks defects as well. So as I'm stripping things back and looking at things in isolation, I'm starting to spot the various defects on the car. And I noticed that obviously you've got heavy water spot.
It's a bruising and humbling experience all in the name of content. It'd be good to establish, Maz, what are the water spots? Like, what does it signify and why is it bad?
Okay, so water spots are effectively the minerals from the water. So the water's evaporated and it leaves behind the minerals. So it could be magnesium, calcium, lime, you name it, that's what gets left behind. What happens is once that water has evaporated off the surface, and the water will evaporate obviously due to the sunlight and the heat, the minerals will get left on the surface. Then as the surface has been heated up, all of the, for lack of a better word, pores of the clear coat allow those minerals to ingress into the paint effectively. And then you get left with water spots. Now, there's a difference between rain. Rain is typically soft water, so you don't get as much water spotting with rain as what you would do from water from your hose pipe, for example. So if you're washing your car in the heat and you leave the water on there too long, that water will evaporate and leave behind a lot more minerals. We call them total dissolved solids in the water left on your paintwork. That's what we're seeing here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's fair to say, watching this, go and have a look at your car. You to a greater or lesser extent, you're probably going to find some water spots,
it's unfortunately, no one is immune from water spotting. It happens on all surfaces. It's just how you deal with them once you get the water spots, which is the key thing. So if you leave the water spots on the car for a very long time, as the panel cools and heats up, those minerals ingress more and more into the paint, and then as we found out, it's very difficult to remove even with a water spot remover.
Well, this is the thing. So I have just assumed, having seen some bits over the car, over the years, I've just assumed, well, that's a water spot from the last time I washed the car and that's it. But actually, no, that it's probably been there for quite a while and it's part of the car's patina, you might say. So, I mean, again, look, under the lights that you've got here in the studio, it's as I said, a humbling experience to kind of see how many there is. So there are a couple of ways to get rid of them from what you were saying?
Yes, so the front of your car's got PPF. So this is potentially a slightly deeper topic now. So just because you've got PPF on the car doesn't mean that in itself hasn't got maintenance needs and or negatives to the PPF. So PPF is a plastic material. It's designed to be heated up so it can self-heal some of the defects on the surface. Now, that means that potentially it's a little bit more prone to water spotting in my experience than your clear coat.
Okay.
Because it's a softer plastic material. That doesn't mean that there isn't options for us to resolve it. Off camera, we tried a bit of water spot remover and nothing really happened. I mean, it improved it a little bit, but what we've got here is more ingressed deposits from the water. So we can actually machine polish the PPF. So that's what we will probably have to do today.
Okay, and that's sort of a last resort really then, isn't it? Where
ideally you want to catch the water spots early and treat the water spots when they're fresh rather than, water spots that's potentially been on the car for the last 100,000 miles.
Difficulty for me is I'm learning this in retrospect. Hopefully, if you're watching this at home, you won't be quite as far
Everything can
down
be
the road.
fixed.
I appreciate that as always. So, look, should we dive in?
Yes.
After a thorough clean of the car, Maz started on the windscreen as it too was suffering from the many blemishes of water spots. Grabbing Garage Therapy's WSR, which is water spot remover to you and I, Maz applied it to the screen, left it for a bit, then buffed it all off, which did the trick, as you can see in the foreground here. Then it was time to try step 1 of removing the water spots on the car's bonnet, applying the water spot remover to the surface and following the same steps as on the glass. It did remove some blemishes, but this is where you need to be aware, because if, like me, you've been a wally and left water spots untreated on your car for a long time, lasting damage will be caused, as evidenced here. Maz says the minerals from water spots essentially ingress into the paintwork, or PPF, as the surface swells and pores open up and close again, which all happens under the sun's glare, for example. There's only so much you can do, so if after using a water spot remover a couple of times you notice the spots haven't gone, you've no option but to machine polish the surface. Maz taped up a new area for contrast purposes and deployed the elbow grease, which, after the first pass, was already making a difference. Maz gradually ups the ante in terms of pad aggression throughout the day in a bid to rescue the surface, and we were seeing results, but it was quite labour intensive. Sorry, Maz.
And even though we've cleaned it and we've decontaminated it, we use water spot remover, still pulling dirt and debris from the
PPF.
From the PPF, yeah.
It did, though, make me realise the damage these little water spots can have long term, and how a little WSR can go a long way to ensuring I, or certainly Maz, never needs to do this on Little Irish again. Once done, Maz had to clean the polish off with a rinseless wash as the PPF was grabbing onto it, but eventually it was time to protect our now blemish-free surface, and GT do ceramic coatings for both PPF and non-PPF surfaces, as there is an obvious difference in the properties of both. Amazingly, the ceramic coating appeared to restore the clarity of the car's Irish green paintwork, as evidenced here and here, which was a nice bonus. Anyway, after application of Orthus ceramic coating all over the PPF, Maz buffed the lot to finish, and we stood back to admire an entire day's worth of rescue mission. Let's take a look at the difference.
Massive improvement, right?
I can't believe it. So you have gone over this a couple of times, it's fair to say, because the frunk or bonnet was a little more difficult than perhaps you were anticipating.
Yes. So the bonnet had really heavy water spotting, and the first pass really just pulled out loads of dirt effectively from the panel. And then the second, we've done 3 passes really, so the second and third pass really cut away a lot of effectively the water spots, and then brought that clarity and gloss back. I mean, it's not perfect, it's a little bit too far gone, but in comparison to what it was, it's 80-90% better.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. That's something that you've pointed out, which, you know, we can't show you on camera, but like that, the feel of it is completely different now.
Yes.
Like less resistance.
Yeah, so there's multiple things happening. One, we cleaned the paint with abrasion, so the pad and the compound obviously cuts away at that plastic and pulls the dirt, and levels out the effectively the craters in the PPF. And then the coating that we put on top, Orthus, is a PPF ceramic coating. And what that will do is that will effectively fill in all of those craters and valleys and form a quartz base on the top of it that gives it that slickness and that hydrophobics. Now, there is a train of thought that you shouldn't really coat PPF because PPF is designed to expand and contract, and it should be technically be breathable. However, the reality is that PPF after 2, 3, 4 months, they lose all of the hydrophobics and they get contaminated really early on. So putting a coating on top really does benefit the PPF in the long run.
Right, okay, so it is worthwhile to do that then?
100%, yes.
Rather than leave it, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
the coating, the PPF manufacturers might say otherwise, but the reality is that nearly all PPF installers will coat the PPF afterwards, generally.
Yeah. Okay, all right, so look, we've removed the water spots, and actually I'll put some B-roll on. There's a interesting comparison when you look at the door and then the wing. for that just night and day, like before and after finish.
Yes.
From here, it needs to be maintained, yeah?
Absolutely. So we always recommend to maintain PPF like you do paint. So you want to use a high quality shampoo, you want to use a high quality wash pad, really good towels when you're drying the car, because contrary to belief, you can damage the PPF. Their self-healing capabilities only go up to a certain point. After a year or two, they can't heal like they used to when they're fresh.
Okay.
So if you just take care of the PPF a bit more and treat it like it is bare paint, then you're giving it the best possible start in the future to look better for longer.
From here, is it a case of just like, using the water spot remover after washing to take that out?
It's got the coating on there, so the coating will help protect the PPF and obviously the paint underneath better than it did before without it. Ideally, don't let the water dry on the surface, so don't wash in direct sunlight where the panel's going to be really hot, and then any water you put on there will dry within a couple of minutes and cause water spots. However, if you do get a water spot, then yes, you use a water spot remover to remove that water spot. The earlier you catch it, the better.
Yeah, sure.
And it won't damage it won't damage the coating or the PPF if you use it correctly. So follow the instructions on the bottle.
Super duper. Yeah. Okay. Look, brilliant. As we said on previous instalments, this detailing diary, so we will definitely cover PPF coming up without a doubt. We are going to dive inside the car and look at some interior bits and pieces in another instalment. But again, if there's anything else that you would like us to specifically cover and for Maz to run his expertise over, then I'll put it in the comments below and we'll make it happen, to be fair.
We will.
So from Garage Therapy HQ, thanks for joining Ironworks TV, and we'll see you again soon.